Okay, you are ready to go.
All right, let me go ahead and start this and move the pictures out of the way. There we go. And I'm ready to go. I'm Huey Poplock. I'm going to talk about searching with better results. Well, let's get started. Searching changed my life. Back in the mid 70s, I met and dated a young lady by the name of Robin on the left, and that's me. And then we went our separate ways. And through searching online, Robin found me about 9 years ago. And we corresponded, got together, and we are now a couple and have been for the last almost 9 years. And so searching has been very good for me. And we actually corresponded through Facebook. So Facebook is on my pluses as well. A little bit about me. I do a lot of speaking to groups around the country. On the Speakers Bureau, I talk about Chromebooks, I talk about Windows, Evernote, learning resources for seniors. This one, the better searching with Google or with search engines. And I do ID theft and I do others as well. I also have a website and I'm involved in several other online activities. Tech for Seniors every Monday that we started at the beginning of the pandemic. And we are now about to, tomorrow will be our 60th week in a row that we've done it. And you can get information about all of the past meetings and the recordings, links to them and everything at huey.net under the YouTube page. I also am a Windows Special Interest Group leader for the Central Florida Computer Society. All of those meetings are on YouTube as well. I'm involved with Chromebooks, and this Thursday will be our monthly Chromebooks for seniors. There's information about that on the website. And so there's lots of good information on my website. Please take a look, huey.net. So, but we're going to be talking about searching here. This was my first slide in the set. And as I did this presentation many times, people started saying, well, yeah, but they got confused. And so I said, well, I'm talking about Google, the search engine, not Google, the browser, or other Google activities that are out there. So you don't have to use Google as your search engine, even if you're using the Google browser. And you can have Google as your search engine with other browsers. So what you can do is here in the Chrome, you go into the settings and you can change your default search engine to Google, to DuckDuckGo, Ecosia, I believe it's pronounced, Yahoo, or Bing.
Very happy whenever it comes.
I just launched my one of my home devices here. So if you choose Google, you'll have it could be, instead of the word Google, it could be one of their little animations. If you use DuckDuckGo, it'll look like this. If you use this one, it'll look like this. And Yahoo, it doesn't show anything but the Yahoo logo up in the search bar. And if you're using Bing, your page will look like this. However, we're going to use the Google search page for most of what we're going to be showing today. And so it will look something like this. So what is a search engine? A search engine is a website connected to a database that catalogs other websites. It will search the actual text of other websites. A computer search program, or a spider, follows links on web pages to regularly and automatically rebuild this database. So when you do a search and it just takes a matter of a portion of a second, it's not going out and checking the whole internet. It's going and looking at that database and coming up with the results. Here are some of the top search engine logos, some of the ones I've mentioned and a few others. But Google is the most popular search engine with a stunning 92.26 market share compared to 2.83 of the second place Bing. So most of what I'm going to be talking about is Google, but a lot of what I'm talking about with Google does work with the other search engines as well. Google searches search queries every 40,000 every second, more than 3.5 billion per day, and 1.2 trillion searches a year globally. Google has permeated our digitally reliant lives to such an extent that the word Google has actually become a verb. Go Google it. When you do go to the search bar and you type in, let's say, the word seniors, when you do, you'll see several words under the search bar. And these are various ways in which it searches. One is, of course, all. In other words, it's searching everything. With the word seniors, it's finding a lot. And it did it in less than a second, 0.74 seconds to be exact. But there are other choices there. One is news. It finds anything to do with news. Images, it's going to change the look. When you click on images, you'll also have collections and search safe, and then some typical following the word, some choices, plus some examples of some of what you can find in images. If you click videos, it's only going to search for videos with the word seniors in it. If you do the maps, you're going to get something with a map. It'll give you some information, and you can look for a location, and it will find the map and other information about items that are on that map. And then there's more. And under more will be shopping, books, flights, finance. Then over to the right, you've got settings. Under settings, you've got languages. You can change the language of what you're searching in. You can hide explicit results. If you have young children, or you're sensitive to anything that might pop up that's on a R-rated or X-rated, you can hide those results. You can hide private results. You can have advanced search. You can do a search history or your data in search. And then under tools, there can be several different things depending upon which of the windows you're looking at, whether it be all, news, images, videos, maps, and more. But if you're just under tools, it'll say anytime or any results. But let's look at some of the other choices. Under news, it'll say recent or sorted by relevance. And then under images, it'll be size, color, type, time, and usage rights. If you only want to find things that you have the right to use without having to pay for it, you want to look under usage rights and make your choice there. If you don't care, then you can look at all of them. Now, under the tools and anytime, this is a very valuable choice. Anytime. Now, why would you use this? Well, let's say you're looking for something that you heard about that was in the news in the last couple of days. Well, that same term that you're looking up may be relevant to something that happened 2 years ago or 4 years ago or 10 years ago or 100 years ago. You want to find just what's happened in the last week, you'll go down to where it says past week, and it's only going to search, it's only going to post results of your search that happened within the last week or that was posted in the last week, or within the last hour if it's that recent that you want to look up. So that's very important when you're narrowing down your searches to find something, if you know the time frame in which you're looking. And then, of course, under all results or verbatim, in other words, exactly, but I'm going to show you another way to get the verbatim. So let's do some searching. How advanced search syntax will make your searches better. Reduce the number of results you have to look through. So you're going to start out with a large number, and you're going to gradually reduce the numbers so you can hone in on what you're trying to find. Get more relevant results that are specific to what you're looking for. Bring your relevant results right to the top. Access better information faster and gain a better understanding of how search engines work. Okay, here are some hints. Start simple. Start with one word, and you're going to get a large number of results. You can ignore spelling. The search engines don't care. If it's almost, you're gonna come out all right. If you're way off, of course it's not. But if you're not sure of the spelling, you don't have to have the exact spelling. Sometimes it may say, "Were you looking for this?" Use web-friendly words. Instead of saying "my head hurts," say "headache." Less is more. Simple, 1 or 2 word search terms will usually give you the broadest results. Start with a short search terms, then refine your results by adding more words. Use descriptive words. Add words found on resulting pages. In all of the articles I've read when I researched to put this presentation together, none of them use that. And that's one of the tricks that I use is when I start with a broad word or a word that's going to have a lot of answers, I look at some of those answers and I find particular words in there. I say, you know what, that might get me closer to what I'm looking for. I'm going to add that to my search terms. And so I'll take some words found in the resulting pages and add them to my search, and I'm more likely to be able to center in and find what I'm looking for. And don't worry about cases. Search engines aren't case sensitive. So if you do it all in lowercase, it doesn't matter, even if they're names and places. And don't worry about punctuation. Search engines ignore punctuations. However, some of them are specific. For instance, the asterisk is a wild card in some cases. So you need to be careful when you're using them. But in most cases, if you've got some punctuation marks in there, it's not going to make any difference. So let's look at a couple of examples of what I'm talking about. I'm looking up the word stug, S-T-U-G, and you'll understand why I'm looking that up. But when I type in the word stug, I'm getting over 5 million results, and they all seem to be tanks. And that's not what I'm looking for at all. But, so what do? I got all these tanks and so on. I don't want a tank. So let's eliminate searching the word stug and eliminate the word tank. So what you do is you put the word stug and then put a minus sign, no space, and the word tank. And what it's telling Google to do, or the search engine to do, is look for the word stug, and then any result that you find, if it has the word tank in it, throw it away. And so you'll see it's still showing some pictures of tanks, but right under it is the Sarasota Technology User Group. That's what I'm looking for. But it says Sarasota. Ah, there is the key to what I'm looking for. That's the word I should add to it, because there's another one right under that says meeting Sarasota Technology. Let's do it this way. Let's put stug and Sarasota together. As soon as I do that, there are the answers to what I'm looking for. I'm looking for everything about stug, which is the Sarasota Technology User Group. So I was able to hone in and get down to what I wanted and have the top results being exactly what I was looking for by just putting a minus sign in front of a word that was there. My last name is Poplock. And if I look up my name, there's a dance called the Poplock. So I put a minus dance, and I put a minus hip hop because it's a hip hop dance. So that eliminates a lot of those kind of things to get my name up there. So the minus sign is very important. Okay, here's something else that you might try when you're doing a search. Back when I grew up in Utica, New York. And in the late 40s, early 50s, they had a farm team of the Philadelphia Phillies called the Utica Blue Sox. And a lot of the, if some of you are old enough to remember the Phillies from the mid 50s, they actually won a World Series and they were world champions. And a lot of the players that were on that team came from the Utica Blue Sox. And so I wanted to look up something about the Utica Blue Sox. So I typed in Utica Blue Sox. Well, I got 60,000 results. But you know what? When I do that, it's saying, okay, look up anything that has the word Utica in it, blue in it, or Sox in it, either all or both or all three of those, or any two or any three or all three of the words. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Utica Blue Sox. You put it in quotes. When you put it in quotes, it dropped from 60,000 results to 20,000 right there. Another situation came up. You know, as we're getting older, some of you are in my age bracket, we're senior citizens, and we have a disease called CRS, can't remember stuff. And sometimes things slip my mind. Well, when I went to college, I had a roommate who went on to write a movie script with another fella, and the movie was Nothing in Common. You know what? I couldn't remember his last name, my roommate. And I said, okay, he wrote Nothing in Common, which was a popular movie. Let's type in who wrote Nothing in Common. And when I did that, right away at the top is Rick Podell and Mike Preminger. And Mike Preminger was my roommate in college. So now I got his name. Now I do a search on Mike Preminger. And as soon as I do that, I see all kinds of information about him, including the fact that he was on The Tonight Show many times. He turned out to be a comedian. And in some of his bits, he did on the old Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and recordings of them are available on YouTube, and I could go watch them. So I haven't seen him since the early 1960s, and now I'm able to view some videos of him in his work-related situation, and get more information about him as well. So I was able to do so by knowing how to search for him, even though I couldn't remember his last name. When you do your searches, a lot of times you're using a Boolean search. Now, what is a Boolean search? Well, it's a way to organize your searches using a combination of keywords and the three main Boolean operators, which are and, or not, and to produce more accurate and more relevant results. So, I probably put that one too soon, that slide in a little bit too soon, but let's solve a problem. I've got a problem and I need with my printer, and I need some help, and it's an HP printer. So I go in and I type in HP printer help. Gosh, there's 74 million results. And right at the top is an ad. Not till the fourth one is there anything that says support, that's about HP support. So it was down to the fourth one, all the way down here. So the top site is not always the best, and it's not always the safe one. It's not always a safe one. So let's look up HP printer error code list. When I do that, there's one there. There's a whole bunch down here. You know, I have in the past gone to one of those and it said call this phone number for help. And I did. And I got a help center overseas, which is not unusual. Even a lot of the big companies have them overseas. But when they started saying, well, it's going to cost $139 and we have to get into your computer, I said, no, something's wrong here. And so you got to be careful when you choose what you find in these search engines. You can't trust all of them. So you want to, once you find a particular company that you need help with, you want to research that before you actually call them. Notice this one, the only one on this page that's anywhere near to probably being close is support.hp.com. HK-EN, that means it's Hong Kong English. So it's actually overseas. So that might not be where I want to go either. So what do we do about something like that? Well, one thing is there's a lot of HP errors out there, way too many. So this was one of the results of 10 million that were out there, and it listed some of them. Okay, and here was a whole bunch of others that may or may not have anything to do with HP, except they have some information. Now, we don't know if they're safe or not. So that might not be a place to try to find out by going to them without first researching them. So what do? Well, we start looking. Here's one that says support.hp.com. And I did some searching. HP.com is Hewlett Packard's actual website. So I know that that's their support center. So that's where I want to go. Now, let's look at some other things that we can search for when we use our search engine. One is file types. And then you use a file type : as your operator. So let's say I want to look for Stug and I want Sarasota, but I only want to look at PDFs that would be in that category. So I type in Stug, Sarasota, file type : PDF, and you'll notice that every one of them here is a PDF, and they all have to do with Stug. So using the word file type : PDF will give me that. So if you're looking for an Excel spreadsheet, let's say a template for a spreadsheet on something, well, you put in what you're looking for and then put file type : XLS or XLSX, and you'll only get spreadsheets. And so you should be able to find a template or a spreadsheet that deals with the topic that you're looking for. You can track your packages, your UPS, FedEx, DHL, or United States Postal Service, USPS packages, by simply typing in the tracking number in your search bar. Just typing in that it'll come up, and it knows if it's a certain number, it may fall into whether it might be a DHL or a USPS, or if it's a certain number, it may know that it's UPS, or it may know that it's just a FedEx number. And when you do, you may have to hit find carrier, or it just may say search. And when you do, it will then bring up your tracking information for your package. So you don't have to go to UPS, or you don't have to go to FedEx, especially if you don't know which one it is. Just put your tracking number in the search bar and type it in. You should be able to get your results from that. How about getting the time? Sometimes you want to know, well, what time is it in London right now? Well, if you type in time : and London, it'll give you the time that it is right now in London. You don't have to go to a website and look up time conversion or world time or something like that, and then go to that website and then type in where you're looking and what time is it now and so on. Just type in time : and whatever city you're looking for. So if you can't remember if Denver, what time it would be in Denver, Colorado, and you're going to call somebody there, well, just type in time : Denver. And you may have to put Colorado if it's a small town, but Denver probably would know. Just type in time : Denver, and it'll tell you what time it is in Denver. Same thing with money exchange. Now, this one was done on March 16th, but if I did it today, it may be a little bit different because, the currency exchange changes. Actually, it changes by the hour. So whatever it was then, it may be a little bit different now. But if I type in $200 with the dollar sign in pounds, it turns right around and says, that's 143.89 pounds sterling. So you don't have to go find a website that converts values of coins, and this is up to date. So you don't know if that website is maintaining it. This one will be accurate, usually to the hour. How about weather? A lot of times you're traveling somewheres. Especially now that things are starting to open up, you might do some traveling. And you're in Ohio and you're saying, I wonder, I'm going to go to Las Vegas. I wonder what the weather is in Las Vegas. So you can type in the weather and then the zip code, or just put weather Las Vegas, Nevada. And bingo, it'll bring it up and it'll give you all the information about the weather. So you don't have to go try to find a TV station or a radio station or the weather channel or whatever, and then type in all this information. You do it right from your search bar. Getting real-time stock quotes. Or do dabble in the stock market? If you do, you should know what the codes are for whatever stock that you're tracking. Just type in stocks and whatever the code is, and it'll give you all that information, and it'll be up to date. So if it's during trading time, it'll actually show you what the latest trading price is, and that may change if you go back and you try it an hour later. Speed test. A lot of times you want to know how fast your internet connection is. So you go to Ookla, or you go to some of the other test sites, or you have a program installed on your computer or on your phone. But if you can't get to it, or you can't remember which program you use to check it, just type in speed test in your Google search bar. You'll get something like this, and you'll see that blue bar down there. It says run speed test. Click on it. Once you click on it, it'll go and it'll test, and it'll give you the download and then the upload speeds. Here's a couple of examples of me doing it. And when you're done, you can hit test again, do it again if you want. Now, this is what it was when I first put this slideshow together. Then I changed companies. And so the next time I did it, this is the speed result that I get now. I pay for 150 down and 150 up. Well, I'm just bragging a little bit, but I do have very fast internet speed, and I can double check this by just typing in the space bar and then click on the blue box. Whoops, I went one too many here. Okay, there's some other things that you can do in your search bar, and that is using either or. And you can use the or operator or use the pipe symbol. So I put LED. A lot of times people say, you know, is it an LED or LCD? And I can remember, I don't remember which one's which, and so on. And somebody says, what's the difference? I just type in LED space OR space LCD. And as soon as I do that, it then gives me a lot of comparisons. LED versus LCD, what's the difference between them, and so on. So I should be able to find, I'm trying to scroll down, and this is a slide, sorry about that. But you'll be able to get the answer to what you want. Another example of that, instead of the or, use the VS or versus. So a lot of times, you know, is that a mini USB connection or is that a micro USB connection? You know what? If somebody asked me that, I can't remember which one's which. Well, if I type in mini USB VS space micro USB, it's showing me some pictures of what the two of them are, so I can make sure that I know. And then there's some articles about them, and so, again, more pictures in those articles, and it explain the difference between them. So whether it be the or, the pipe sign, or the VS that you put in between two items, you're going to get a comparison. Error messages. I know that we all get error messages, and anything that how do I say this nicely? If you come to me and say you got an error message, please note what that error message is. Just telling me you got an error message doesn't help me solve your problem or help you find a solution to your problem. So when you get an error message, such as the one you see on the screen, you want to be able to use a screen capture program and capture it. If you don't know how to do that, and this isn't the proper presentation for me to talk about that, there's other ways in which you can do it. You get a piece of paper and a pen, the old-fashioned word processing, and you write down Firefox is already running but is not responding, period. To open a new window, comma, you must first close the existing Firefox process, comma, or restart your system. You write it down so you remember what that error message said. Then you contact myself or one of the people there on this in this meeting, or whoever else you normally call for help, and say, I got an error message, and they say, what was that message? You've got it written down. So you can tell them what the message was. So now, what do we do with that information when you give it to us? Well, we don't know the answer to these things. We got to look them up. Well, the best way to do it is with a search engine. So that's a really long error message. So let's just take part of it. Firefox is already running, but is not responding. And when I put it in, I get 1,350,000 results. Well, you know what? We better narrow that down a little bit. Remember what we did earlier to narrow something down? Put quotes around it. So it went from 1.3 million to 11,000 results just by putting the quotes around it. So that helps us. So that's narrowing it down some. But notice some of the answers there are from 2015, 2012. Then you'll see down here, it says solved. So we're going to talk about that. So here's some more of that error message that you might also want to also put in into the box, but at the end of it, put the word solution or solved. What that will do is a lot of times when you're looking at you're doing a search on an error message, all you'll see is our article saying, yeah, I had that same problem. I had that same problem. And there is no answer to it. Nobody answered it. So to cut all of those out, what you want to do is find out where somebody has solved it. And usually it'll have the word solved. And so you want to make sure that that's in there as well. So when we look at this action cannot be completed because the other program is busy, and then solution, okay, now we're down to it. Now we've got a whole bunch of answers, but let's go into tools. And then remember, we can look under time-wise. Let's go to the past year because we want it to be something maybe in Windows 10. We don't care if somebody gives us an answer to Windows 95 or Windows XP. That's not going to help us a whole bunch. Or and it may not be a solution to a current problem. So if we put the solution there and then we narrow it down to time-wise, we're going to get closer to it. The next part of this presentation you're going to hate me for, because I'm going to talk about a song that's going to get in your head and you're going to think about it for days. But I remembered a song about trombones in Parade, and I couldn't remember what the song was. And I know there's trombones in Parade are part of the words, but there's words in between. So remember I said asterisk is a wild card? That goes back to the DOS days for those of you around. So I'm going to put trombones in Parade in quotes, but I know there's some words in between them. So I'm going to put an asterisk there as a wild card. So it'll be trombones, some words, and then the word Parade. As soon as I do that, bingo, up pops the words from the song, 76 trombones, and even from Music Man. And it's right here, 76 trombones led the big parade with 110 cornets close at hand. And then you're singing that song in your head, and that song's going to stay with you now for days. Sorry about that. Some other things that you can do from your search engine, from your search bar, put in the word define, and then whatever the word is you're trying to look for. A lot of times we go to Merriam-Webster.com or we'll go to dictionary.com, try to find what a synonym or what the meaning of a word is, and we don't know quite how to look for. If you just put in define, colon, and then the word, not only will you get the word, but you will get it spelled out in phonetics, and you'll see a little speaker there. If you click that, it actually will say the word, so you can listen to it, and then it'll tell you if it's a verb or if it's a noun, and then it'll give you some synonyms, some antonyms. It'll give you some other words that you can use instead, just by typing in define, colon, and the word. Just saves you time using that in the search engine without going to a website. Same thing as a calculator. Just put in what your calculation is in the search bar. It immediately will give you the answer, and it'll bring up a calculator so you can continue trying some other calculations if you wish. But you do all of that right from your search bar in your search engine on your in your browser. Num range, search for a range of numbers. Note the 2 periods between the 2 numbers. Okay, here I'm looking for all of the #1 songs between 1958 and 1960. So I type in #1 songs, that's what I'm looking for, but I put a time period in, 1958 ... 1960. When I do that, I get a lot of results, but the top one is list the Billboard Top 100 #1 singles from 1958 to 1969. That certainly is going to have included what I'm looking for. List the Billboard #1 songs of 1958, 1960. So that's in that same range that I'm talking about. So the top 3 answers fit my criteria first time out. So knowing what to put in that search engine box or the search box will save you a lot of time searching for things. How about a site specific? Use the site : and then an operator to search only within a certain website. So if I go to the ECOTU.club website and I put in site : and then that space Amor, it shows me where the name Amor is. And I wasn't sure if Jim would be here or not, so I also did Kennedy. And bingo, there are some articles about John at your that are on your website. So these are site-specific examples by just typing in site and then what you're put the site name and then whatever you're looking for. Do you have a UPC code? And when I was testing this, I just grabbed a box that was sitting on my desk and I just typed in the UPC code from the box itself, and bingo, it immediately told me, and it was a Seagate backup plus 5 terabyte external drive. So just by typing in the UPC code, in most cases, will give you what that item is. Now, some people use UPC codes that are not in the registry. They just make their own up for internal purposes or whatever. Some of these, especially if they're coming from overseas, they may not have a proper UPC code. But in most cases, by having the UPC code from a package, will get you information about that item. So when you buy something and you want to get a replacement for it, or if you're in a store and you want to get more information, just write down the UPC code. But you also want to write down what the item is, just in case that UPC code isn't in the database. Search with a possible word. And what I did here is Robin's phone was having a problem. It's not her current phone, the one before the one we've got now. Whenever she called me, I could barely understand what she was saying. The words were garbled. And I couldn't think of the word garbled. Muddled was the word that came to my mind. It was muddled. And I said, gee, muddled even a word? I don't know. But I said, cause of muddled voiced calls. Bingo, I did get some answers. But there is another thing that you can do when you aren't sure of the word that you're describing what you're looking for. And that is, you want to find a possible word close to it, but you don't know what words to put in there. Use this little symbol here, a little squiggly thing, sometimes called a tilde or tilde, and put that just before the word you're searching on. So cause of tilde muddled voice calls. So I'm saying look for anything that's muddled voice calls or something, a term similar to that. And bingo, you'll get the answers to what you're looking for using that word, if you're even close. Using reverse image search, you want to identify an image. Robin brought home a little item from Goodwill, and I thought it was the cutest thing. And I said, you know what? There's got to be more of these. And we couldn't figure out how to look up if this is, if there's somebody that made a lot of these different ones and so on. Maybe there's a collection. So I took a picture of it. And then what I did is I went to my search engine page or the blank page on my browser, and I went to where it says images instead of Gmail, instead of my account and so on. I went to images. When I did, it comes up, there's a little camera there. And when I clicked on the camera, it said, okay, you can drag, here you can drag, upload, or link to a picture. You can either paste an image URL or upload an image. Well, I took a picture of this item. So I went ahead and I uploaded it. Now, truth be known, all of these other pictures that you see, I did the same thing with them, and I couldn't find a result, any results for them. So none of those worked. But this one, it did. And so when I did search for that, what it came up with is this, a best guess for this is a figurine. Oh, big help that is. But under figurine, it says Wikipedia, but under visually similar images, there are a whole bunch of things. Well, none of those really look like, but as I looked at them more, bingo, right here, this one, and you can see it right here. Here's the one that I had, that I took a picture of, and here's another one. And under it, it's saying vintage Pendleton rabbit figurine. Well, Pendleton is probably the key there. This might be a good find for what we're looking for. Let's go ahead. And when I click in Pendleton, bingo, I find all of these different ones. And then there's close-ups of them. And there they all are. And there's one that looks almost exactly like the one I have. And so I found what I was looking for by just uploading a picture. Going back now to earlier where we talked about Boolean searches in Google, and searches for all search terms you specify, Amazon and rainforest, or websites that include both terms, or searches for one term or the other. Search how to draw or paint if you'd like the results on either term, but not necessarily both. And then group words and phrases with a quotation mark, and sausage biscuits, for results that include only the words together. So if I had the word sausage and biscuit, it would look for anything that contained either one or both of those. Or if I did or if I did and. But if I do it with quote marks, it absolutely will find just that term. Because if I had sausage biscuits with no quotes, it could find biscuit sausage, it could find sausage, and it could find biscuits. So Boolean operators are case sensitive. Google may not care about the upper and lower case letters in search terms, but the Boolean searches are case sensitive. For a Boolean operator to work, it must be in all caps. So it may work and it may not work in Google, but if you're using other search engines or you're doing other things that require a Boolean search, always use the uppercase as the Boolean operator. For example, a search for freeware for Windows or Mac gives a different result than a search for freeware for Windows or Mac. Google search tips, tricks, and hacks. One of the largest hurdles of using Google is the amount you must weed through. Manipulate your Google search with a couple of hacks to retrieve a more relevant set of results. This is kind of a recap of what I just talked about. Cite, and then whatever your term is. Make sure the minus sign to eliminate a certain term. The file type, remember, if you want an XLS or something, you do that after the topic that you're looking for. Another one I didn't mention is cache, and then the term, and that retrieves an older version of the page from Google's cache or from their memory banks. So refining the search, there are many other ways to manipulate your search within Google. The word order. Add your search terms in the order you think they'll appear on the page. Sometimes can make a difference. So if you don't find the answer you want and you're using the terms, the words that you're looking for, try reversing the order of them. You may get different results. And remember the wild card, the asterisk can substitute for a word. If you can't think of a word or you know there's another word, you're not sure what it could be. Synonyms, use a tilde. Remember, I said for words that are similar, well, meaning synonyms. And so put the tilde in front of it. Stemming, Google will automatically stem a word. STEM will find stems, stemming, stemmer, and so on, unless you put a plus in front of it. Or common words, drop superfluous words such as and but, and this and that, and from your search. Google ignores them anyway, so save time and don't type them. Here are some other more search operators. Define, stock, and so on. It tells you how you use them. Area code. Let's say you find somebody called you and you don't know whether it's junk phone or you don't recognize where it's from. Type in just area code : and then put in whatever the area code is, and it'll come up and it'll tell you that area code is Washington, D.C. or Afghanistan. Who knows? A tip calculator will bring up a tip calculator. Timer, stopwatch, flights to and from location will display for destination a table of outbound and inbound air flights. Flights Oakland would be flights to Oakland, or flights from Oakland. Translate. You want to translate a word from one language to the other, put translate the word to and then the language, and it'll give you the translation of that word. If you ever have to use the advanced search, it basically, all of the things I just said for the last 45 minutes, 50 minutes that I just talked about you can get to by using the advanced search and then changing the information from drop downs and from boxes. So just remember that advanced search is there if you can't remember all the things that I just told you about. And as a final thing, Google has some hidden games in search. You can play these games within the default google.com itself without going to any other site. Then there are other games that were part of Google's famous doodles, but aren't available easily since the doodle keeps changing. Don't worry though, there are sites that keep these playable doodles that are still active today. But here are some of the fun hidden Google games that you can play within the Google search. Solitaire, Minesweeper, Tic-Tac-Toe, Pac-Man, Snake. Remember the old Atari Breakout? Remember, let's see, there's Google a Day and Spooky Cat or some others. And what you do is you type in just in the box, just type in Solitaire, and you'll see the graphic that's there, and underneath it, it'll say play, and you click it, and you can play. It may ask you, do you want harder, difficult, or easy, and then you can play it right within the browser. What other games are available? The other ones that I talked about, well, this is on a slide. You're not going to have time to write all these down. Remember that there is a copy of the link to all of my slides in the presentation that you can download, and you can look at this and then try them all out yourself. Play your own Pac-Man on your computer within your browser. And this is a website down at the bottom that has Google search operators, most of which I talked about, not all of them. There are even some more on there on the list. There's 42 advanced operators on the page that will list all of what I just talked about and then some. So your search time should be more productive now. So going from the search to the results, you should be able to get through the maze a lot quicker. And with that, I will stop sharing and answer any questions that you have.
Excellent, Huey. Excellent.
Thank you.
I have a question. You mentioned UPC codes there, and do you have to type in the UPC, or does it automatically
Just
ramp
type
up
in the
that number?
Just type in the code. It'll recognize it as a UPC code if it's in their database. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and play with it. Find something around your desk and just type one in and see how it works. That's what I did in Bingo. It was a box on of a hard drive, and Bingo, it came right up. It surprised me.
It's very informative, the things you can do.
Yeah. Old dogs can learn new tricks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was great, Huey.
Well, there's some things to to utilize to speed up your time. A lot of people say, I looked on Google and I couldn't find the answer to that. And I said, well, let me try. And I use some of these tricks. And a lot of times I'll find the answer for them. And they think I just know everything. Well, I don't. I just know how to find them. And having the tricks to find them makes you an expert.
Huey,
Yes.
the trick about site specific. I do lots of stuff on the Avast support forum, but they're not known for having the best search results when you search within that forum. Using that site specific and then doing a search through Google makes me a wonder at coming up with answers that people just cannot find if they're using the search within the website itself.
Good point. Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of tricks that we can use that make us look like experts when we have to look up the answers too. Any
This
other
might be
questions?
the
Yeah.
$1,000,000 question for you.
Okay.
When you do a search and you don't want the ads, is there a Boolean operator that says, cut the junk?
No. That's how they
Darn
make
it.
their money. That's how they make their money. But you usually say the word ad, so you just don't pay attention to those, or make sure you know that they're ads. Sometimes the ads give you the answer you want too, though.
How about
But-
minus ads?
Yeah. David, you had something.
Yeah. I sometimes do searches for information on some kind of a do-it-yourself project. And YouTube is a great resource for YouTube for help on many different kinds of do-it-yourself projects. I find that to find something on YouTube, the best way for me to do it, again, this is what I've found, is to go directly to YouTube and do the
Absolutely.
search from there.
I totally agree with you. Yeah,
Okay.
if you're looking for something and there's probably a video on it, that's another way. And I probably should put that in as a slide. If your search engine can't find it, there's probably a video about it. And I actually do. Let's see. I'm trying to think which presentation I have that it's using YouTube, I think, because I do have how to find information, and I do some examples of finding some really strange things I didn't expect I could find in a search engine. I found on YouTube, and somebody did a video of it. An example of that is I owned a TR3, Triumph TR3 automobile back before I moved to Florida, so it would have been in the late 60s that I owned one, and I think it was a 1959 Triumph TR3. And I said, I wonder if there's any videos about them. And I did a search, and there were a couple of thousand videos on how to fix them. And I didn't even think there would be any available, no less anybody fixing them. So I was pleasantly surprised. But yeah, YouTube is another place to search for a lot of things when you can't find it anywhere else. And there might be something. YouTube, absolutely.
YouTube is actually the second most used search engine. Comes right behind Google, but the YouTube search engine is the most used next to Google search.
Which is owned by Google anyway.
Yeah, correct.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you. Very good.
I'll make a comment. Enjoyed
Sure.
it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it
I'll
very
make my
much.
comment. Thank you. I made a list of 8 notes that I'm going to be using right away.
Okay, and don't forget, grab the PDF with all of the items so that you can go back and review them, especially that one page, I think was close to my last slide, that has 42 different search
Gotcha.
hints. Use that too.
That's what I need. Remind me
Huey?
what the tool, pieces of the tool.
Yeah. Ken?
Yeah, I have a clarifying question. So the character, the pipe, you
Yeah.
said you could use that instead of or
Yes.
was that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It works the same way. my understanding. I usually type in the word or. I have to hunt for to where that pipe is. But it is on your keyboard, by the way. It's right underneath the backslash. And we all look at our keyboards.
Mhm.
Where
David?
where that pipe symbol that you talked about, where is it?
Right under or it's on the same key on your keyboard as the backslash.
Okay, I thought that's a broken line on mine. It's not a solid line.
Yeah, it looks like it, but if you click it, you do a shift in that, it'll be a pipe.
Okay.
David, you had another question.
Yeah, kind of similar to my YouTube question, but let's suppose you're thinking you want to find something in Wikipedia, which is another huge resource in itself. Would you maybe, in some cases, go directly to Wikipedia and do the search within that site?
Well, a lot of times when you do a search for something and it's in Wikipedia, it'll be the top of the list. So, and if it's there, then I would go there next. But yeah, it doesn't hurt. You try everything you can to find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a shelf of reference books and you don't know which one to choose. If the first one doesn't give you the answers you want, you grab one of the other ones. So you can use YouTube, you can use Wikipedia, try some of the other search engines. If you can't find exactly what you're looking for using Google, try Bing. They do have different answers. Sometimes they will have a lot of the same, but sometimes you can find something on one you don't find on the other. So it doesn't hurt to try a different one.
Okay.
And as I say, one of the neat tricks is just reverse the order or switch around the order of the words. Sometimes we'll find different, at least a different order of the answers. It might find a lot of the same ones, but there might be thousands of them. You might not get to the ones that came to the top one way. Will surface to the top doing it a different way. Okay, I'll turn. Yeah, Ken.
Yeah, this is for our newsletter. We do a quick synopsis of what happened. The handout that you sent to me, do you have it somewhere on your website that I can link to it in the newsletter? Because I can't include the whole thing.
No, just go ahead and just pull out a couple of the slides if you want, or I can send them to you. I change it and I update it. And so I don't really keep it somewhere because it changes so often.
Ken, I can put a link on the website. Just like
That
we do
was
the
my
newsletter.
next question. Yes, John.
Yeah. We can just put it in our media spot and then they can click and open it from there.
I think I might have a video of it somewhere, but it might be 2 years old and I might have added and changed some things. There used to be a time that, you remember I did the minus for the tank? Well, there used to be, you used to be able to put a plus and force that word. It had to be in whatever you were looking for. And that went away. And that was, I think, was a great way of finding things. But it's gone now. It doesn't work.
Quite often it'll tell you that it's missing a certain word, and you can from that then select must include when you're doing a search.
Yeah, it'll say, actually it'll have a line through it.
Yeah.
But
you have the option afterwards to.
Yeah, to include it.
Right.
Okay, if we're done with your presentation, I'll go ahead and end the video, and then we can stick around and chat. So are you finished?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you,
Okay,
Huey.
you're all welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Huey. I'm going to end the video now.